Hey everyone, it's Jen with Spirited Saturdays, and this week we are talking about taking power away from the eating disorder. So I wanted to talk about a personal experience with this that I had today. I had a personal exercise in diminishing the eating disorder's power. Unexpected, but ultimately handy for this video. I went to my nutritionist today and she weighed me, and I didn't know what the number was, and I knew that it was better not to know, but I still wanted to know. And so, not knowing really, it really stressed me out, and I fixated on that number for a long time, or like what the number could be. And in doing that, I realized just how much power I was giving to that number and to any kind of distorted thoughts that were going on, and taking power away from other things. And so the first thing that I did to take the power away from the fixation on the thought of what could the number be was I met up with a friend right afterwards. I had planned to do that, and at first I was feeling a little shaky about it because I had just come out of the session, but I allowed myself to really loosen up around her and really just enjoy my time with her, and even eat like a normal meal and also have a little bit extra. So but extra subjective. Like, actually, it probably wasn't extra. It was probably just right, just inclusive in the meal. So I allowed myself to be flexible and to just eat normally, even though one side of my brain was so fixated on the eating disorder thoughts. I really acted opposite of that, and I felt that, and I took my nutritionist's advice about it too. She was really, really helpful. So I let myself be influenced by the healthy stuff, the healthy parts, and I didn't act along with the urges. Going along with the urges is going to multiply the power. It's going to magnify everything. So it's really important that if you're having a rough time, you put yourself in a situation where it's going to be a little easier to act opposite of the urge, like with a friend. It won't be as easy to do, like, to be safe inside your whatever you do by yourself. So yeah, that I definitely would recommend that. And that just kind of happened. That ended up happening. But what also happened afterwards was, after we left, my head went right back there and was like fixating on the possible number. And I continued I kind of put a different spin on the whole reaching out thing, but I just texted a bunch of my friends. I just went kind of crazy with that, and I just reached out and tried to debunk the power that this was taking up, and the space that it was taking up in my head, and tried to debunk the beliefs that I had about myself as a result of this not knowing, and all of the things that I could possibly derive from not knowing. Like, what could that possibly mean? What do I possibly look like? What does my weight say about me as a person? And all of these really horrible thoughts that were kind of taking up way too much brain space. So I went and I just kind of like texted all these people, my poor friends. But I wanted to give you one example of one text that I sent somebody, my friend Kat. I sent her a text saying, I need to love my body no matter what I've done, no matter what I've done to it. I need to love it right now as it is. Sorry. Alright, let me start over. Hi, Kat. You love your body, right? I need to love mine, no matter what I've done to it. I need to love it as it is right now and not wish it any different. Action comes first. If it needs to look different to be at a set point, fine. But I don't think it does. But I am free to let that go. What a relief. I don't need that burden. All I am responsible for is treating myself well. Love you. Love you, Kat. And it's true. I like that. I said that. All I'm responsible for is treating myself well. That's it. Like, throw up my hands thrown up. I am not. This is a burden that I can let go. I'm allowed to loosen, to unshackle myself here. Nobody's binding me to this. And so she said a couple of things, but then she said, what difference would, when she talked about knowing the number, what difference does it really make in your life, Jen? What will it change? I mean, really, will it further your career, make you a better or worse person, better or worse artist, lessen your or better your life's goals? Jen, what will it do for you? Will it enrich your spirit, calm your soul, bring you love? Think about it. And then she gave me a text hug. Thank you, Kat. And it's all very, very true. And these are words we should all live by. So yeah, take away the power and reach out and try to just tell yourself things that are opposite from what you're so accustomed and conditioned to thinking. Yeah, think about the purpose that this is all serving and try to consciously challenge that. Challenge, what can you implement instead of this? What can you do to derive the same end goal or the same? How else can you feel purposeful? I'm not saying that right. Let me get to that. Let me go a different route here now that we've covered the importance and wisdom of Kat. Yes. All right, so I'm just going to read from some of my notes, as it seems customary at this point. So here, in an eating disorder, you have thoughts, feelings, rituals, and behaviors. In order to fully recover, you have to stop all of these. This has to do with taking away the power, because if you are still doing one and not another, you're still giving power to your eating disorder. So say you're maintaining a healthy weight, but you're still taking apart your food and meals to get through a meal. Just the way you get through a meal is often just as important as finishing the meal itself. So pay attention to that and, know if you're clinging to something, if you're clinging to a piece of it, because you're holding on to it and you're not fully free if you're doing that. If you are engaging in a behavior, you're under the impression that you want to do it and that you need to do it. Okay. You're focused on the act of doing it. Now, here's a trick. You have to switch the focus by flipping it. Flip. By not engaging in it, what are you avoiding? By not restricting, for example, what are you feeling? Flip the control. Instead of losing or giving up control by choosing to be eating disordered, what are you gaining? What are you experiencing? And, just know that by giving up the eating disorder, you're not losing anything. You're only losing an illusion. So by giving up binging, for example, you're not just not eating more. You have to flip it. So you're free of it. You have space for other things. You are gaining strength and willingness and connection with your true feelings. So, also, if you binge, sometimes I know that I binge to avoid doing whatever it is I have to do next, whatever's next on my agenda. So this is what I kind of have to say about that. If you binge to avoid feeling negative about the next thing on your agenda, purposefully feel the negativity. You have a choice there. You're at a crossroads. You can either binge or you can either experience the dread and negativity that comes along with having to go ahead and do the thing that you have to do. Or you could just go straight ahead and do it and not experience any of that. But there's a space in between where you're obviously unsettled about something. So take the time, pause, and experience that. Experience that negativity. Don't just go straight to the action and don't just go straight to the binging. Like, sit in the middle and experience the negativity. Deconstruct the negativity. Try to figure out your own way of doing this, but whether it be writing, or talking to somebody, deconstruct it and understand it. Why are you feeling negative? What is it about this thing that you don't want to do? Is it something about yourself in general, or is it just that you are unhappy in this moment, or what exactly is going on? You don't need to solve it with food, and you don't need to avoid it with not experience. Like, you're allowed to experience what's going on in your head or why you're unhappy. So Okay, so and just know that, say like you're binging, you binge, right? And if anxiety and unsettlement come up because you don't have extra food, like you're trying not to do it, you're trying, and you're anxious because you don't have the food, because you're really really trying. Tell yourself that the anxiety is coming from a place of facing the feelings, not from the lack of food, not because you're not getting to binge, but you're just peaking in anxiety from what is actually going on. It's not an authentic need for more food. It's not any kind of need to appease the eating disorder. It's what's in its absence that warrants your attention and repair. It's what's in the eating disorder's absence that warrants your attention and repair. So taking the power away from the eating disorder means transferring it elsewhere. The power doesn't disappear, it just redistributes to a place where it is aptly implemented. So cultivate your power and think, how can I use my power? The other thing that you can try to do is challenge mythical thinking. One thing I learned in the hospital was that if you have a thought, you have a belief about something about yourself, in that moment you think like, I am disgusting, I'm gross. Label the feeling that goes along with that thought. And if it's anxiety, label the anxiety from 1 to 10. And as you're labeling it, once you label it, write like the evidence for the thought. Like, what is the evidence and what is making me feel this level of anxiety about it? And then challenge it, write evidence to the contrary, and write, well, this can't be true because of XYZ. In dialectical behavioral therapy, they call this a benign interpretation. So just, come up with another interpretation, come up with evidence for reasons not to believe that you're gross. Really think about that. Why am I not gross? What external evidence can I derive here that will assure me that I'm not gross? And once you have challenged it and written the opposite thought, then rate your intensity of anxiety level again from 1 to 10. See where it is now. It might not drop the first time you try this, but with repetition it will drop, and then you are taking a power away from the eating disorder mindset. And another thing that you can try is shifting your perspective and understanding that you're part of a bigger, I'm going to read this part, okay? You're a part of a bigger world. Imagine yourself looking down at everyone and everything from a more evolved space or dimension. You have to be careful about this if you're prone to dissociation. Don't do this if you dissociate. Okay, but if you don't and you don't have a problem with that, this is what you can try. See everyone as smaller and operating as one conglomerate from this higher perspective, like a higher plane. And watch, too, as the concerns, thoughts, and behaviors also shrink. Like you're looking at a dollhouse, and these poor little creatures who believe themselves to be trapped aren't really trapped, but from their perspective, they think they're trapped, and it's like all they know. And then you can kind of look from this higher perspective and go, oh God, no, these guys, these like silly dolls, they're not trapped at all. And if they only looked up or out, they would see themselves as connected to a broader world and a broader purpose. So that's kind of how you can step outside of your eating disorder and see it as this little mechanism. It's really like you're so involved in it, and it seems like everything, but see it as a little dollhouse. See it as like, okay, yeah, this is there, but I can see it from a much greater plane or a much higher plane or whatever. And I get it. It's not all powerful and it's not almighty. And poor me for not realizing that earlier and wasting a lot of precious time. Or not wasting, I shouldn't say that. The eating disorder power diminishes also when you realize that you're connected and that your thoughts and actions and feelings are affecting others all the time, and as you yourself are affected. So consciously choose a positive thought and action. It'll affect others positively. Compassion shown to another is equal to compassion shown to oneself, because you and the other are in this together. So just remember that too. Have compassion for yourself, and it will influence others. So I hope this made sense. I really do. This didn't completely feel extremely organized to me, but enjoy and have a great day.